It's time for Group Stage 3, the round of 32. We're about to be jumping into our first game of the evening. We have 3 games in a row coming your way. I am stoked for these games, these next 3. And that's, I mean, at DreamHack tournaments, day 1's a little bit slow, good game here and there. And then day 2, by the end of it, it's woo, straight up to the top level of StarCraft 2 games.
Yeah, and the caliber of players that we're seeing here now just exponentially increasing as we thin it out. And you know, it shows the number of players decrease. If you're going to make it this far, you're going to be pretty damn good. And I think our first match, we got some 2 pretty strong players.
Our first match is absolutely incredible. We have a Korean versus a non-Korean. We have currently 10 Koreans out of 13 remaining in the tournament. 3 were eliminated throughout the different group stages. Those 3 were Lucky, Arthur, and Daisy. We have 22 non-Koreans left. We can double them. We have twice the number. But I'm afraid that it doesn't matter because these guys are the best when it comes to playing StarCraft 2. We're going to find out if numbers matter. 22 non-Koreans versus 10 Koreans. Make sure to join us on Twitter. You can @DreamHack and hashtag DHOpen and hashtag DHS13.
Yeah, you talk about the numbers. If only it was a cage match, right, rather than StarCraft.
Yeah.
So have a bit better odds, especially with some of these guys pretty buff, especially Pig. So I think, as far as the actual StarCraft goes, how do you feel about this first match between Stephano and the STC?
I think this is going to be, I mean, Stephano's been pitted up against a lot of good Korean Terran players over the last 6 months, I'd like to say. And in all honesty, he's done okay. Well, all right, let me take that back. He hasn't done that good, but he did okay against MVP in the WCS Europe Premier League. Before that, I think he played against Last in MLG, he's played against another couple as well, and he's always had trouble against Korean Terrans, dealing with Widowmines. But I think we saw a glimmer of brilliance on the first game against MVP on Belshir Vestige for the WCS Europe Premier Finals. And when we saw that, we saw Stephano deflect. We basically saw Stephano play like Life did today against Terran players. And if he's able to bring that form to the STC in this best of 3, then it's absolutely possible for Stephano to beat out the STC. But on the flip side of things, the STC against Life today on Belshir Vestige played an incredible game, very narrowly losing out to Life, who is arguably top 3, if not the best Zerg player in the world. This is going to be a tough challenge for both sides, in all honesty.
Yeah, and I think it's also a great way for the STC to prove to the crowd at least that 2-0 loss to Life, it wasn't just it's not any real serious lack of skill by the STC. Still a very powerful player, but you have to consider the caliber of the opponent. And I love that you kind of brought the analogy of Life into this, because Stephano, if he plays anywhere remotely as well, he's going to have a pretty good time in this match.
And there we do see Stephano. I don't know who's sitting next to him. I'd like to know. It's definitely a male because he's got quite manly fingers and fist. Who is it? This
beanie guy. He's got a beanie on.
I don't know who that is. Do you know who that is? I don't know.
Maybe just a friend.
You are beanie guy. From now on, you are beanie guy. With Stephano, helping Stephano out. And there is the man of the hour. There's Ilya Satori, Stephano. And there's down the chain of command, Goody. And then the STC, Bishu, and then Slivko. But here is Stephano's opponent, the STC from Team Complexity, with a bunch of sponsors on their arms. And I talked a little bit about the STC earlier today. Originally from old generations, one of the first StarCraft 2 top-tier teams when it came to Wings of Liberty. He then left the team to move over to Quantic Gaming, a North American side, and Quantic sent him everywhere, to all the MLGs, to all the European tournaments, and in all honesty, he played really well. He was a very consistent, probably top 16 finisher in the majority of tournaments, and he's had some good finishes, top 4, he's played in a final as well, but he's never won anything. And now with Complexity, we've managed to send him out here to another DreamHack tournament. I'm looking forward to his games.
Yeah, and I like that you're going to put that. He hasn't won anything, and that's a bit of a trend that we see in some of these Korean players that can't quite make it to the top. You oftentimes will see them make it to these top 32s, top 16s, and even sometimes the top 8s. But actually getting that tournament finish is something that is most often only able to be achieved by the very top players, such as Life, such as Lenok, and of course players like MVP. But this is his opportunity, like you stated, that he can come in here, he can take out someone that's not Korean. He's an opportunity now to show us just what he's capable of in this tournament.
Yeah, excuse me, he hadn't actually played in a final before, but he's played in 4 semi-finals, every time failing in the semi-finals. So we'll see if he's able to get up to that kind of level here at DreamHack, and especially at DreamHack Summer where there's so many good players. Stephano, though, he's played in a lot of finals. He's made a lot of money. His wallet's thick, it's heavy. He never pays for drinks, by the way. For any of you out there who ever see Stephano, he will not buy you a beer. He doesn't buy me a beer. He probably won't buy you a beer. He's a right cheapskate, but he makes a lot of money. But he's one of the finest, non-Koreans to touch StarCraft 2. He's up there. Through his accomplishments, there was a lot of arguments when Stephano was rising. Is he the best non-Korean? No, Naniwar is. No, Thorzane is. Stephano is the best non-Korean StarCraft 2 player that we've seen.
Yeah, especially in his results that we've seen as well, taking out WCS European Finals last year. I feel this is, a lot of players would say he's a little bit on the downside of things, getting close to his eventual retirement from StarCraft 2. So
that's right.
Could go out with a bit of a bang here if he can make a very deep run. And that's the thing about Stephano is you can never count him out as far as, results go. Being able to get even to the finals of the Premier League for this just past season of WCS, yeah. He's quite an explosive Zerg player.
I mean, a lot of people always question, is Stephano still the guy he used to be? He finished second place in WCS Europe with the best of the European players, only losing out to MVP in the grand finals, and then obviously he went to the season 1 finals. He's one of 3 players to actually be in the top 16 ranking for the WCS point system alongside Demaga and Tilo to fight for that top 16 finish to play at BlizzCon for you guys at the end of the year when the WCS 3 seasons are over. But we are about to begin the first map, the first game of the evening in Group Stage 3. The first map is going to be our beloved Neoplanet S.
I think it's all right map to start things out on. I think we could see a bit more of an aggressive opening to this series as we do have quite a short risk just since it's a small map. And there's a couple pathways to go along for early pressure. So I like this map to get things going. We could still see a longer game, but we're probably going to see something a little bit more aggressive on this map.
All right, so here we go. The first game of the evening. I hope you guys are excited for this one. 3 amazing games coming your way. Let's begin with the first map.
And here we are on Neoplanet S, spawning in the bottom left position as the red Terran player coming in from Team Complexity. It is the Korean, TheStc.
Was 3rd to 4th place at DreamHack Valencia, I don't know, roughly 9 months ago now. A good finish, losing out to 4GG before the finals.
Yeah, and our player in the top right position, spawning as the blue Zerg from Team Evil Geniuses, it is Stephano.
The WCS champion of Europe last year. I suppose if we count out MVPs, the champion this year as well. And this guy, he's won IPL, he's won ESWC, he's won NASL, he's made a lot of money, and now he's going up against a Korean Terran. And already we have a nice and early scout here from the STC, but is it a scout?
Well, it's pretty damn early to be a scout, I think, Apollo. He's not building an additional SCV now that the supply depot's done. I said this map could be open for aggression.
Yeah.
The STC, he's going to try to kick the door open on this first game here with a proxy barracks, but he is going to go for a gas, so not your typical cheddar. It's going to be a proxy reaper, it looks like.
Yeah, 11 barracks and 11 gas. Stephano is drone scouting, and he knows the danger of Korean Terrans. They love their 2 racks. They absolutely love it. They always bring it into a series, whether it be the first game or the last game. But he goes in, and already he sees the gas and no barracks. He's like, hold on a minute. Hold on it. What are you doing?
Oh, he didn't see that gas, Apollo.
Okay. Sorry, Adabisi. And look at this. So we have the SCV coming down here. Stephano goes in again. Is he going to see it this time? Because he's still seen no barracks. Okay, now he sees it. So now he's seen the gas, and now he's looking inside for the barracks.
Yeah.
Doesn't see anything.
Well, the spawning pool's starting. He does have the hatchery on the way. And as far as the Reaper coming out here, how much damage do you think he's going to be able to do with this, since Stephano is now aware that it is most likely going to be that Reaper coming in?
It's such an early Reaper, and it's proxied, and with a bunker coming down, he could do a lot. So it's going to be very interesting to see Stephano's drone micro, because the Zerglings, the spawning pool isn't even halfway complete yet, and the bunker is more than halfway complete.
Yeah, that's an interesting point too, because he won't be able to have a queen out to zone him away. So the amount of damage that the STC can do with his Reaper is going to basically be purely judged off of how well he can micro this Reaper versus the drones and the first handful of Zerglings that are going to come out before the queens get onto the field.
So yeah, with this bunker complete, it's going to be a pain to deal with. Stephano already pulling off his drones. Are we going to see a drone kill go down? One does go down immediately. The SCV actually tagged the kill there. You little kill stealer. Another one is going to... No, actually that one gets survived. So just one drone kill so far.
But he's also denying the mining time, which is very important. The resources lost from canceling these buildings. It's 25 minerals on that spine. Another drone does die, but the Zerglings get out and immediately get that Reaper. So he's not going to be able to micro it around, make it more cost effective. I think that's a nice little break here for Stephano, although the next Reaper is out on the field.
Oh, he actually let the Spore Crawler complete. A bit of a mistake there from Stephano, for obviously focusing on this Reaper there. The bunker not loaded. Salvage out of here. So behind this, we already see the transition coming in. Factory's been put down. He's done a bit of damage. He may get another drone kill here. Is he going to get one more? No, it doesn't look like it. So I think it was 2 in total have gone down. And then I guess the Spore Crawler is a bit of a pain to deal with. But yes, he's going to be ready to detect any cloaked banshees, guys. He's ready for it.
He's officially safe against the 2-port, at least in his natural.
Yes. So 2 Reapers do remain. The third one is on the way here. So Stephano has to be a little bit careful. Zerglings there, 2 queens or a queen, 2 queens on the natural. Is pretty locked down in terms of defense. So he's going to go over to drone production. Unfortunately for the Frenchman, he's a little bit supply blocked, which is a traditional mistake from him. And he's going to have to throw down 2 Overlords in a row here. As you can see, 27 out of 28 supply at the bottom here. That's a bit of a problem because he should be building queens by now. He should be adding on more drones. This will slow him down and allow STC to overcome in the economy race here.
And these Reapers jump up, going to immediately be thrown away by those Zerglings. And, the other, he can kind of compensate, though, for the bit of a supply block. He has the larva banked up. We see 10 drones starting as soon as it breaks out. And, well, a third command center coming in here for the STC. Very nice to see. But he's going to go for a pretty quick starport, I feel like. These Reapers continuing to try to do some harass, getting in maybe another drone. He is going to be picking up at least 1, maybe 2 here. And, it's just a good bit of harass. He's going to lose those Reapers, though. And Stephano doesn't quite have Zergling speed started yet, so... STC, he kind of loses his map control. Yeah, I'm not a big fan about seeing the Reapers thrown away like that, especially 2 for just a couple of drone kills. I'm not sure if that's worth it, especially because we have mines on the way. The Reapers could come in to join the mines, depending on how they're used. If we see a Medivac come out from the starport, the Reapers could jump in the main. Maybe they could join up with the Widow mines and do some extra damage. I don't think he really extracted the most value out of those Reapers. But whatever the case now, we do see Stephano about to take a third base. He's got double gases down, which means he'll actually throw down a Roach one before Zergling speed here. We actually could see Stephano just go for an assault, but we'll have to find out here. I mean, before Zergling speed, usually you'd want to get Zergling speed and then double evolution chamber. But the Roach one coming first is either that he wants to try to be aggressive, really late aggression, or that he's just afraid of what potential follow-up can come. Because the STC isn't playing a normal game, he's playing a little bit weird, so it may be just kind of a safety net for Stephano to fall back on. Yeah, and you'll have to consider what he might be expecting to come after this Viking. The STC, you could look at it like, okay, well, you get the Viking to kill the Overlords, but from Stephano's perspective, that means he does have a starport, which means we're going to see Medivacs to follow this up. Could have been, anything from Hellbats to Widow Mines. It is going to be Widow Mines in this case, and the Roaches, well, if you get, he's actually going to go for the +1 ranged attack here.
Yeah, I love this, actually. So we're going to see Roach Hydra play come out from Stephano, or at least Roaches to begin with, maybe Hydras after. It's so good against Widow Mine play. It actually forces Terran players, to a certain extent, to build tanks. But we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute, as we are going to see an Overlord come down. Aren't we happy that Stephano built that Spore Crawler? Look how useful that is.
Yeah, he accidentally prophesized the dropping of the Widow Mines later. And he's not going to take any damage. Zerglings deny that one. He's going to land in the main base mineral line. How much is he going to be able to get? Anything serious? Just a single drone. So the attack not really doing a terrible amount of damage for the STC for the investment that he made.
Yeah.
And also consider he didn't have an early reactor on that factory. So as far as his production goes, very slow, losing that Medivac as well.
All right, so we do have the 1-1 upgrades coming down for the STC, as well as Stim. He's got his 3 command centers. He's going over, adding his extra production, getting his starport up and running, and so far just set up quite nice. though he's got a lot of reactors coming down, which isn't really good against a lot of roaches because they're Marines. That, you know, they don't really kill roaches very fast. So he is building still a single Marauder. But the way that Stephano's playing this out, he's got Overlord speed here, which is probably just because the Viking was there and it's been a bit of an annoyance. So he's just got Overlord speed to get his Overlords out of here. But the way that Stephano's playing, his style is very heavy roaches. And if you look at so many Zerg versus Terran games, when a Widowmine blows up Banelings, everybody goes, "Rah!" When it blows up Lings, everyone goes, "Rah!" But when they blow up Roaches, it's like, oh, it really didn't do that much.
Yeah.
And that's the main reason for Stephano going Roaches here, looking to exploit the fact that Terran players love their Widowmines, and he's going to look to hammer down on them.
Yeah, I think it's a really great point, especially kind of working against the unit composition. In fact, the Roaches really, when the Widowmines go off, are the ones that are going to be cheering because they don't. The splash damage doesn't hurt them quite as much, and you can even do cute things like burrow micro, or even just burrowing afterwards because the Roaches regenerate health so fast. And the third base is going to get landed by the STC, dropping a lot of mules there. We do see the +2 attack and Glial reconstitution coming in for the Roaches. That's the speed upgrade, as well as a fourth base now coming in for Stephano. He's playing a surprisingly passive Roach style here, not going for any harass yet with them.
Yeah, I'm really surprised he hasn't moved across the map because at this point, there's not really that much for the STC. He's only got a handful of Marines. But of course, it's always a risk if he moves out there without Roach speed, right? So he's going to really need Roach speed before he takes a gamble because he can always get caught off, especially with Stim.
And he's going to run over here. He finds this fourth hatchery. He might be able to force a cancel and deny that before the Roaches get on top of him. Will force the cancel on hatchery. Wanted to get the drone, but unfortunately not able to do so. That hatchery will immediately restart. But, you know, he's starting to get a little more aggressive. His stim is done. He does have those medevacs with those boosters. He can do a pretty reasonable amount of harass.
So Stephano's strategy, we talked about his composition and what his style is. His strategy probably here is to hit a massive 2-2 timing. When those 2-2 upgrades complete, look at the advantage and upgrades he has over his opponent. In the meantime, until Hydra's out in good numbers, he has to deflect the Marine Marauders and also defend and try to get a fourth base up. And then ultimately, when he defends, then he comes in for the killer strike. Then he comes in for 2-2. But meanwhile, the SEC's been a big pain. He's brought down this fourth base. He's added 2 tech labs to his barracks, actually. So he's got 2 Marauders coming in. He's getting the plating for his Widowmines as well. So far, the SEC needs to abuse Medivacs. Until Hydras are out, this is a perfect timing.
And he's going to try to drop inside the natural expansion, shut down very quickly by that hero Spore Crawler, and the Roaches as well, cleaning up the units that do manage to drop. But like you said, that 2-2 is coming in. We have Roaches and Hydralisks in production. The Hydralisk speed is actually going to be timed pretty well with this 2-2, and the Medevac's moving out. STC is going to try to pick off a couple of these Creep Tomers. You know, the Roaches and Hydralisks get such a nice benefit from those, especially, I think they favor it even more than the Zerglings, but the Roaches and Hydras, they're going to be able to shove this little assault force off, and SEC, he cannot fight this army just yet.
Not yet, and 2-2's about to finish here, so Stephano might start to get a little bit buff in this game. Let's see how he plays this out. Still without a fourth base compared to the SEC, who does have a third. Look at the supply, though. Currently 170 for Stephano, and he's about to get up to 2-2. And this is the time where he ideally wants to move out. So if you know that your Zerg player wants to move out around this time, you need to keep dropping him, keep him back, keep him back. And the more you keep him back, the less likely he's going to hit his 2-2 timing, especially because the Terran 2-2 upgrades are on their way. If they complete, it's nullified.
That's a very good point. He's also getting the Drilling Claws upgrade, so the Widowmines, while they're not quite as effective, if you get enough of them in there, that splash damage can really help the bio in terms of finishing off those Roaches. They're kind of known for being durable, but you know, you lose 40 health, all of a sudden you're less health than a Marauder, and with that extra armor damage bonus, they can do quite a bit. Stephano taking a couple of these hits, he's going to drop some changelings, and he looks like he might want to push in towards this area outside the 30. He's going to move in. The STC splitting the bio. He has a bit of a concave edge here, but the Medevac's trying to heal these units. There's a lot of Hydralisks with this composition. The 2-2 still not done yet for the Terran player. The Widowmines also crashing in, and Stephano's going to bowl over this army of our Terran players.
Stephano hits the timing right before 2-2 is done. He comes crashing through. His style, his strategy nailed to perfection here, and that third base is going to be compromised. SCVs will die here as the Frenchman conquers this land, and the command center could be next on the bucket list here. And well, Stephano is currently 60 supply ahead. Everything has gone to how he wanted it to go.
Yeah, he's done quite well. These Marine Marauder reinforcements are going to try to pick off what's left in that third base area, but the Roaches, they say, okay, we kick the door on the way out. And Stephano even catching these SCVs trying to run away towards the bottom right side of the map. He's going to be able to pick off absolutely everything that was ever part of a memory of that third base.
And the thing is, Roach Hydra gets weaker the longer the game goes on, right? Because then the Terran upgrades are in. Then there's more Marauders out there. Maybe there's even tanks that come in. But right now, Stephano's done the damage necessary to stop STC in his tracks, and that's all he needs to do. He's coming in for one killing strike, and he may just pick up the game right here, right now.
Yeah, he's going to press in. The Widowmines are doing a decent bit of job at softening this army up, but the SEC, as he starts back and forth, he doesn't have too many places to run to. Now the medevac count not that high, and the Roaches, they have such a nice concave completely surrounding this army. The Marauders doing their best to hold on, but it's not going to be quite enough. That third base that was landed once again is going to die very quickly. There's barely any hit points left to say anything, and he's going to shut that down. And well, the SEC, he's dropped below 100 supply, Apollo.
The SEC is in a world of trouble. Stephano's got a 5th base up. GG, doesn't matter. Ilya Satori, EG Stephano takes map number 1 in a quite convincing fashion there. Everything went his way, I'd say.
Yeah, it was really well played from Stephano. The STC did a fairly interesting build, and I almost want to say, just point out how weird it was that Spore Crawler didn't get canceled, and then the STC immediately followed up with a reactorless, just straight Widowmine drop off 3 command centers. It's almost like he countered himself by forcing that drone to run and hide.
Well, we do see the Frenchman take map number 1 over the Korean. Remember, it's 10 Koreans versus 22 non-Koreans, and so far, they're winning. But for how long? Of course, there's many other fantastic Korean players in this tournament. Gumiho, Tasia, Life, Jaedong, that's just to name a few. But a good start here for Stephano, who's notably had trouble against Terran players. And, you know, Zerg vs. Zerg seem to always be his weakness, but then, as of recent, especially in Heart of the Swarm, Medivacs and Mines seem to be his biggest problem. But now it's time for the SDC to make that comeback. He dropped game number 1 versus Life, and it seemed to make him stronger earlier today. He played better, he played harder when it came to map number 2. Depending on what that map is, we could see a different STC going into this best of 3 series. Remember, it is a best of 3, so the first player to reach 2 wins grabs the first win in their group, and it's one of the most difficult groups. We went through the groups before, and if I'm not mistaken, if I just bring it up for a second, hold on, there we go. It's Slivko and Hyun, the other 2 players in there. And especially considering that, you know, the STC may need to face a lot of all-ins, Roach Bailowans, especially from Slivko, and Stephano's not that good in Zerg vs. Zerg, or at least doesn't like it. This match is probably the most important for both players.
Yeah, I really like your point about the all-ins, especially because if he can't be, you know, Stephano's going to be the one player that he's going to be basically guaranteed a little bit more of macro games against. And Stephano might play more towards the Roach Hydra, which isn't quite as popular in at least the Korean Zerg scene that we'd see out of Hyun.
Yeah.
If SEC can't pick up these macro games, he's going to have a really rough time playing versus, especially, I just want to say, Hyun.
That's right. Hyun is he's a dog, that guy. He's roaches. He always comes for you when he plays against Terran players. But we are ready for map number 2. It is going to be Whirlwind, one of the bigger maps. You say that, you know, the STC needs to step it up now, right? He needs to play the good long macro game. It's Whirlwind. Depending on positions, Stephano may try something here, but ultimately I think Stephano may just sit back and play normal. But the STC, it's his time to shine.
Yes, it is, and we are a little countdown our beautiful view of the scenario, this map that is Whirlwind. But I do like your point, though. Whirlwind it's quite a large map, and this is going to be one of those games where he can get the macro game if he wants, and if there is an all-in by Stephano, it's going to be one of the easier maps to defend it on. But spawning in the bottom right position of Whirlwind, as our Red Zerg player is currently up 1-0 in this best of 3 series, it is Evil Genius's Stephano.
Brought his puppy to Sweden. He's brought his puppy.
Yeah, it's a cute little thing to have. Helps keep tournament nerves down. But his opponent spawning in the bottom left position as the blue Terran player. Can he make a comeback? It is Complexities, the STC.
So far, these 2 players in the tournament, Stephano is in total games 6 wins, 0 losses. Has only dropped a single map. But his hardest opponent was Todd, as we actually casted it not too long ago here, the last game on this stream. The SDC, on the other hand, in Group Stage 1, went 3-0, 6 map wins, 1 map loss. And then in Group Stage 2, we actually saw him be defeated for the first time. But then you look who it was Startail Life. It doesn't matter that you've lost the game. You played against Life. It doesn't matter, it doesn't count.
Yeah, it's really hard to compare those opponents as far as TVZ goes, especially considering the style of these players. Can't imagine, you know, seeing Life go for something like Roach Hydralisk. against a Terran like that. But we are going to see the horizontal spawns here. And you kind of mentioned that based on the spawns, that's where we could possibly see that aggression come out of Stephano. Is this the spawn that he would be looking for to do something like a very quick 2-base roach timing or something of that sort?
It's absolutely viable, is the answer. Whether he'll do it or not, I'm not sure, but it's viable. In these positions, absolutely. If you look at the way that, the Stephano's expansions are, his natural is pushing that way. It's almost pointing in the way that he wants to kill his opponent. He wants to go left, and, that may help him make the decision. But, like I said, it's an option that he may or may not use.
Yeah, and it's going to be pretty interesting to see, of course. Now, we do have that command center first opening from the STC, so both players have been opening up pretty standard so far, I'd say, getting the barracks afterwards and then the gas. Now, a couple of things, of course, we're going to be looking for is, once that factory starts for the STC, are we going to see a fast second gas, third command center?
Yeah.
And most importantly, when or if Stephano takes his own gas in anticipation of that potential aggression that you mentioned.
Usually you would have already liked to have the gas down by now if you were looking to be aggressive in Stephano's position here. But on the other side of things, the STC, you bring up a good talking point here, is what does he do now? Does he just throw down a third command center? And depending on what this SCV scouts, he may actually do that. But before the SCV scouts his opponent's gases, he already has decided to throw down the second gas. This kind of means one thing.
That's going to be Hellbat drops, of course, Apollo.
That's right, my friend. It's going to be Hellbat drops. Stephano, though, with this Overlord Scout, is going to go in and say, now, wait a minute, if I just have a look at his gas. Hold on. Oh, wait a minute. That's a second gas. Wait, hold on a minute. That's a second. Nathanius, that's a second gas. And Stephano knows that's a second gas because it's kind of late. Obviously, if that was the first gas, he's probably gone 4 command centers before anything. And Stephano's probably expecting the first one to be down that by now. So he knows it's 2 gases. Already, in Stephano's mind, he knows that Hellbat drops is a major potential option here.
Yeah, especially consider that you said the natural expansion would point towards the SEC for aggression. Well, at the same hand, that means it's just closer for Hellbats to actually get over there and try to kill some drones. So the Zerglings are going to poke the front. He sees the bunker on the way, sees the supply depot, and, well, it very importantly is going to be just how Stephano prepares against this. And, well, there's that armory coming in, Apollo.
Yeah, so Stephano's going to have to try to defend against this. And he knows pretty much the same as we do that this is most likely coming. The biggest weakness of Hellbat drops is the Medivac. Because the weakness of Hellbats is this mobility. They're slow, stupid, useless units without Medivacs. But when you give them speed, take that with whichever way you want to take it. When you give them speed, then all of a sudden they are the most dangerous units alive. Medivacs pick them up, put them everywhere, and they will crucify drones immediately. So Stephano will have to gather his queens together, will need to bring down the Medivacs, spore crawlers in the right positions. No roach roaring, very interesting. He's gonna just use queens and zerglings to defend it.
Yeah, a pretty interesting setup. I also want to say what's interesting is that we actually see him throwing down this tech lab on the barracks. He's continuing to pump out these Hellbats reactor, but going straight into Marauders. Are we going to see Stim? Is this going to be a 2-base Hellbat Marauder timing follow-up of the Hellbat drops, or because he doesn't have the 3rd command center, and he's going to spot the 3rd base of Stephano?
That's right. You bring up another good point here. You're nailing it today, because the amount of Hellbats that are going to come, they're going to slow down Stephano, or at least attempt to, right? And then, if we see additional barracks constructed very shortly here, and especially if we see more Marauders coming out, or at least more tech labs added on, the follow-up is, well, the STC strategy will be like, slow you down, hurt your economy, kill you. Like, that's his strategy, if we see the extra barracks come down.
Yeah, and that's going to be a very crucial thing to see. In fact, even if he just goes for constant Marauder production, he can still put on a reasonable bit of harass, but now the Hellbats are going to make their way into the natural, dropping on top of the Queen and the drones. How much is he going to be able to kill, trying to focus them down? Nari, just a few drones actually killed. Not even sure if he got more than one. Looks like actually a couple burned under that Queen, maybe 3 or 4 drones. He's going to drop again, killing off a couple of these Zerglings, and Stephano not taking crippling damage from this attack just yet.
He does take down the Medivac, which is the most important part of all this. Behind it, 3rd command center, not additional barracks. So we now know that he's not going to try and kill Stephano early on, but Stephano needs to be a little bit more careful. His reaction time was a little bit slow there, in all honesty. He didn't pull the drones off immediately, but he did eventually bring down the Medivac. If we look at the drone count, it's 37 to 39. If we see another landing blow by the STC to bring that lower, he's definitely in the lead.
Yeah, especially considering that he has those mules behind his economy. Ooh, the great positioning of that Hellbat right in between those 3 mineral patches, killing off a lot of Zerglings. However, the medevac still dies, the most expensive and important part of this of the drop, and the Hellbat in turn will die. Interesting thing to note, though, when you lose a medevac in this situation, when you're going for such a fast stim, it eliminates all threats of a very fast follow-up because, you know, it's 2 medevacs that he could have had later on for his bio, but he is going to move into his 1-1. The additional barracks are now coming in, and that 3rd command center, well, it is about to complete.
I'd say so far the trades have been relatively equal, so when you look at this game right now and say, well, who's winning, who isn't? I'd say it's a little bit equal, if not still a little bit in Stephano's favor, considering the upgrade timings is very much so in favor of Stephano, because when you go Hellbat drops, you don't get the fastest double engineering bay down because you've obviously invested in the armory. So in terms of trade-offs, equal, and because of the the lack of double engineering bays early and Stephano being able to go to 2-2 very shortly here, Stephano maybe with a slight edge.
Yeah, and I think that's a very fair thing to say, especially with that 2-2 now starting up for our French Zerg. The Spire is on the way as well, but we have 2 medevacs full of Hellbats beginning to make their way over. Those Zerglings, I feel like maybe barely just saw them on the left side, but he's going to immediately send the Zerglings over there, and the SEC realizing, okay, I can't drop there. Now this Spire, I think this is going to be pretty standard Ling Muta setup. Does he even have a Baneling nest though? I'm a little bit curious.
I think he does.
We haven't seen any Banelings being made just yet.
Yeah, but what we're going to see, actually I'm very surprised the centrifugal hooks has not been researched. That's a critical mistake at this point because, okay, there it is. So we do see centrifugal hooks coming in. Stephano now just needs to keep on defending with Ling and Banelings until Mutilas come out, and that's when he can start to stop these medevacs from even touching him. And from there on out, when he stops the medevacs, is the time to move across the map and start to deal major damage with his upgrades, because that's where his advantage really lies in this game. When those 2-2 upgrades complete, his opponent will still only be at 1-1. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, we're seeing the plating being upgraded again from the armory, from the SDC. He will be focusing on Widow Mines again. We see a reactor on the factory. He'll be producing Widow Mines. In an ideal situation, he probably needs to throw down a second factory now to get the tech lab to get drilling claws. Otherwise, the Widow Mines are not as effective. And he'll probably throw that down after 2-2 upgrades. 2-2 much more important before getting that second factory.
Yeah, definitely. And, he already has the armory in place from those Hellbat drops, like you said, so he's going to be able to immediately start his 2-2. Still a little bit slower than Stephano's as he invested in those early drops, but he's had a couple medevacs actually flirting around Stephano's base, not able to find anywhere to drop, and Stephano's going to go for a 4th base Apollo. Drilling Claws is on the way, though. It does look like...
he had a second factory, I didn't notice.
Yeah, he's stepping out onto the center of the field. Could be looking to kill some creep tumors. He's going to try to shove away this Overlord at least, but... how do you feel about the +1 armor on the Widow Mines this early in the game?
Absolutely. If you remember, like when Terran players used to build tanks, right? They used to go ahead and get +1 attack. Without tanks, you get +1 plating. +1 attack doesn't affect Widow Mines, so you get the plating instead, and they survive a couple of extra hits versus Zergling. So it's a great extra addition to your army. So, and then if we see Hellbats still being used, it's great for Hellbats too. They survive a little bit extra. But now we see the phase of the Mutalisk. This is where harassment can begin.
And there's a lot of area in the main base of the SEC. There's a lot of areas where Stephano can poke away at him, especially with this Bioforce towards the right side. It's almost like just swinging right by them. And he's going to be going to go down and try to pick off these creep tumors. There's a good number of Marines here, but more Mutalists on the way. +1 attack going to complete soon. The Banelings are being made, 8 more of them now. He does have the centrifugal hooks, and he's killing off a good couple creep tumors, though.
Stephano's preparing to fight. Likewise is the SEC. Widow Mines are down. Oh, one goes off and hits the Mutalisk, so they take a bit of damage there. We are going to see Stephano pounce on this army very shortly. Centrifugal hooks is done. Zergling speed, everything is ready to go. Here comes the flank, here comes the movement.
He's going to get a full surround in this army. The Hellbat's doing a decent bit of job taking away a lot of those Baneling hits, but there's so much here. The SEC does not have enough army to actually hold off against the Mutalists. They're going to be able to take out the Marines, taking out a decent number of the medevacs. The Mines get some last hits here. He doesn't have an Overseer with the army, but losing these medevacs and his Marines, he's been completely reset in his army counts. And Stephano taking a very nice trade, and at the same time, his 4th is done. He's completely shut down this harass so far.
Yeah, 2-2 is about to complete, though, for the SEC, so this is only going to get harder for Stephano, because 2-2 completing, they're going to shoot down these mules much, much faster. Stephano is now researching +2 attack, going to focus on his Mutalisk production. Probably won't go for an infestation pit. If he does that, he opens himself up to a major, major timing window, because he needs to pile and save all his gas to go for 3-3 to go to Ultralisk. At this point, it's still very equal. Unless Stephano gains an edge and gains a fight or wins a fight, he doesn't have time to do that. So what we need to see from Stephano, if he wants to close this up 2-0, a big victory. Close out, crush everything without losing very much. Likewise, on the other side of the things, the SAC, keep going, buddy. Just build a 4th command center, keep going, keep pressuring, keep dropping, keep putting the pressure on.
Yeah, and the other interesting thing is that we also have a little bit of a timer on the favor side of the STC. The 3-3 is coming in. We do not even have an infestation pit for Stephano, so he's not going to be able to get a hive, not going to be able to get 3-3 or those very important Ultralisks, which allows the STC to continue this Marine production. We already see him starting to trickle in a few Marauders, though. Not going to be quite as effective versus those Mutalisks. How do you feel about this this mixing of the Marauders at this point?
The mixing Marauders is just safety. Just they're good versus Banelings if they come in. They're also going to be used later on against Ultralisk. But for the time being, Stephano still needs to look for that engagement. He's got the infestation pit coming down. He will go over to the hive soon, but then he'll need to pile gas. So he has to win a killing strike. The STC needs to be very careful. Widow Mines need to be placed perfectly. Stephano doesn't have that many Mutalisks at the moment. Oh, actually, I say that he's got 26. But the STC moving forward. Stephano's going to take a fight in a minute, Nathanius, I feel, but the mines are in great position. This is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good one.
Yeah, they're spread out pretty reasonably well as those Marines being spread out. He's got a bit of a Marine run by, you could say, going to the left side, but now the Zerglings and Banelings are going to flood in. The Mutalisks getting on top of this army. The Widow Mines detonating, but not on enough, and Stephano going to win another fight here. At the same time, this bottom center base is going to be taken out. The 4th base on the right being put under a decent amount of pressure as well, but that's going to be cleaned up, and the STC, he's trading armies somewhat reasonably. He's still ahead in supply with a incredible amount of macro that he has going, but he's not doing that damage, like you said, that he wants to be able to do with this upgrade advantage that he's going to have soon.
Oh, good surround coming in here. Good destination on that Widowmine for Stephano, actually, as he takes a lot of damage on the Marines. But still, like I said, Stephano hasn't landed a big blow yet. He's doing okay. This may be able to be that big blow if these Banelings connect properly. Oh, the Widowmines do a lot of damage into the Marines there. And these Mutalisks with +2 attack, they may actually be able to take down the majority of these Marines. Look at the supply, very equal. Neither of them have actually got a mining 4th base. Stephano only just about getting gas on there. There's no 4th command center. So as much as the STC is piling on the pressure, if he doesn't have a 4th command center now, his main base is being mined out, so he's actually going to slow down with his production instead of being pushed forward. So his 4th command center now being thrown down. He realizes the situation he's in. So despite neither of them actually landing big strikes and taking a big swing, they're still in a very similar situation. And that's okay for both sides at the moment. But the Mutalisk count, that's scary. With +2 attack, goodbye turrets.
Yeah, that you to make a great point. He's able to do a line of harassment. He can go for the add-ons, the reactors, the production. The hive is on the way, but 3-3 is done for the STC. It's going to be a bit of a fight here. These Marines, slight upgrade advantage if he can split well. He can do a lot of damage. The Widow Mine's taking out a bit of damage towards the STC's army, but he does win this fight for now. The Medevac's hurt, but like you said, those Mutalisks really digging into this production, taking out at least one of the reactors. He's realizing, okay, well, the engineering bays aren't doing anything anymore, but there go the reactors, taking out the Widow Mines as they pop. The Marines are going to try to stream in and stop this, and if, goodness, STC can't stop this.
The STC, a bit of deja vu right now, considering he's had this situation against life. The Mutalisks are over his units, and, well, he's got quite a few out on the map at this point, but all the Marines are going down. That means no reinforcements if the reactors go down and whatnot. Now, Stephano, if he's going to do this and bring down the reactors and bring down the production, he needs to morph 1 million Banelings at home. Forget about Ultralisk, forget about 3-3, because then he just needs to crash onto the main army. It looks like the STC has just enough to push him back. He has 25 supply lead, a 25 supply lead. He's brought down Stephano's 4th base. The STC, I'd say if he gets his 4th command center down, is leading this game now because of bringing Stephano's 4th base down and kicking Stephano outside. But here comes a big engagement.
Yeah, he's going to get a decent surround on these units. The Marines spreading out the Marauders, take a few of those Baneling hits, but the Mutalisks, like you said, there's just so many of them. The Medevac's going to try to load up and boost away. At the very least, to buy himself some time. But we look at the supply. Stephano, about 125. He's reducing a couple more Mutalisks now, but that 4th base is landing. This is a critical moment. 7 more Mutalisks are coming out for Stephano, so he's banking a lot here on being able to do damage with these Mutalisks. If they get on top of these SCVs, this could be disastrous. Keep in mind the Marine production, very limited, and STC's moving into 4 Marauder production at a time.
Planetary Fortress, turret, and mines, they complete Stephano's in major trouble because that will not be broken. And if a 4th base is allowed to mine and mules are down there, that's Marines with 3-3. A great hit there by the STC. A major amount of damage going down to those Mutalisks. Luckily, this is Heart of the Swarm, so they will regenerate, so they will be back to full health momentarily. But for now, he cannot use them. Stephano's in trouble, and when Stephano's in trouble, what does he do? Protoss plays build DTs. Stephano gets pathogen glands. He will back onto infestors and hope they can work. Oh, He dodges that Widow Mine.
He's flying through the field of dreams here with all these Widow Mines. Another great hit, really softening these Mutalisks up, and he's going to fly right by another one, but he does have the Overseer with him now. It's going to be a bit easier to deal with these. The Marauder production, it's kind of interesting. He's now moving into a bit more Marines on this side, realizing the Ultralisks are not coming, at least for now, as the Mutalisk count does continue to swell, but as far as what the STC needs to do, he has managed to protect that 4th base. He has it set up. Stephano restarting that 4th hatchery. If he cannot get this base up, he's running out of resources on his other bases. And then if you look at the income tab, the STC is just miles ahead.
Oh, and the STC is going to drop that 4th base. This is a big, big move here for the Korean. The STC, 4 Marauders, 1 destination, 1 goal. Go to the 4th, kill the 4th. And that's exactly what those 4 Marauders are planning to do. Right now, the SEC stim those 4 Marauders forward, and this is going to be salt on the wound for Stephano. Hey, guys, wait a minute. There you go. Down falls the hatchery, and that is annoying for Stephano because now he's back on 3 bases again. The only way I feel for Stephano to win this game now, because he's allowed the STC to get the 4th base, if he lands killer fungals, then maybe. But the STC delivers a killing blow there, a really killing blow to Stephano. That hurts a lot.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned ways of coming back. He's been scanning every time he steps forward, so anything like Burrow Banelings are not going to be able to buy him a second lease on life. And the Infestors are here, but considering the position, these Marauders are being sent forward. He's keeping the Marines behind the army and split. The Zerglings, the Mutalisks are going to try to run in and pick off the Marines, but he's at the 3rd base. The
Look
Infestors,
at that spread. Here we go. This is the last chance for Stephano, otherwise the SEC is going to do it.
He's going to step up here. The Zerglings getting a bit of a fight on the Marauders, but there's just so much here for the STC, chewing through the infested Terrans that have been thrown up. The Mutalisks doing everything that they can, but if they are not enough to stop this with these fungal growths, he's going to get a great fungal on these Marines. The Mutalisks, though, do they have the DPS to actually kill off the Marines before they can get shredded? I do not think so. STC is going to take this game. GG from Stephano.
Yeah, great game there by the STC, and we talked about it before this game even got underway. The STC needs a kick in the balls, to be honest, to start playing properly, and he had that in Game 1, and he was playing absolutely amazing in Game 2. A different set of circumstances led Stephano to be in the lead, then the STC in the lead, then Stephano, then STC, back and forth, both of them. A tug-of-war game, that one really, really was. And the STC bringing out the performance needed, getting down that 4th base, putting the pressure onto the Frenchman, and we will be going to a game number 3.
And I think this has been a fantastic series so far. We're really getting to see a bit more of the SEC skill that it wasn't quite as easy to see in that match versus Life earlier with that crazy macro that he had. And, being able to a bit better hold on versus the Mutalisks over his production. And Belsier Vestige against Life, once the Mutas are on top of his barracks, he just didn't have enough to sustain the production, even though it looked like he was in a reasonably good position in that game. So I feel like map number 3 on Belsier Vestige, this is going to be, sink or swim here as far as getting the first win in this group.
And I don't know who's got the rubber bands here, Nathanias, because it can be a Zerg all-in, or it could be domination from a Terran player if he gets into momentum. If he starts dropping those external bases, starts dropping the main base, this can be a difficult map for both sides, just depending on how it plays out. So there's got to be a lot of thought process going into both sides here. Does Stephano go ahead and say, well, you're playing Widow Mines, let's play Roach Hydra again, or, heavy Roaches? Does the STC now adapt and start to do something else? Does he open Hellbats again? Does he just go straight 3 command centers? Does he try a 2-racks? All these different builds and strategies cycling through their heads at the moment. And we're going to find out which one they're going to choose as we load in to map number 3. Remember, it is a best of 3, so this next map determines who comes home the victor in this first game of their group.
Yeah, and it is an important one, as we both said, that neither of these guys are looking forward to playing the other people in the group, especially Hyun. So as we do count down into this game, both these guys really, really want this win, Apollo, much more than they'll be looking for the other games. And, well, we are here now on Belsier Vestige, spawning in the bottom right position as the red Zerg player currently tied 1-1 here from Evil Geniuses. It is Stephano. Looking quite smug as he prepares for this final match. And spawning in the top left position as the blue Terran player from Complexity, it is the STC.
Down to the final game here, Nathanias. As I had my mic muted as I was trying to speak my first few words as I pour honey into my hot tea. Because that's what we do in the final game of a tied series. We drink tea and honey. because this is going to be a long night. We have a lot of awesome games coming your way. Straight after this for you guys out there, we will be having Thorzane versus Elfie, Sweden versus Finland coming up. And then to end the night, we will be having The Dong coming back to entertain us, going up against FXO's Gumiho. A great set of games coming your way.
Yeah, it's really just a fantastic night of StarCraft that we've got planned here, and I think this is as good of a match that we could have hoped for the first series. You know, Stephano pulling out some excellent Roach Hydra in game number 1, and then we're seeing an amazing macro from the STC throwing a lot of constant aggression, utilizing the airspace for drops on Whirlwind. But this map, not quite as open as the previous one. He is going to go for a command center first build, it looks like, and I feel like this is a pretty solid way to kick things off. He's opening up a very confident opener, and he's going to build the command center on the high ground. Nothing really crazy just yet.
Yeah, command center on the high ground, the safety version of going for the command center first, skipping the barracks. You're not getting Marines down. So he's actually, both players agree to call it quits before anybody gets hurt, as the drone and SUV go back to where they came from. So the command center first, then barracks, standard follow-up. So right now the decision making is all on Stephano's side of things.
Yeah, and his drone, man, microing like crazy. Doesn't want to get into...
This drone is like, who said you can bring friends to a fight?
Yeah, he was open for the one-on-one fist fight with that health regen, but...
He did. Hey, get back out here. He's throwing rocks at the window. Come on, come out here. And then the dad comes out. He's like, what? Come on.
Well, I guess it'd be the mom, really, if it was the queen or something like that. But.
Yeah, luckily not. So, Stephano has the option to get a gas very soon. He can wait a little bit and then get double gases and still be aggressive. Does he want to risk it, though? His opponent hasn't really shown straight up 3cc. In the previous map, he went the armory first. And actually, did he go straight 3cc in the previous game, in the first game?
Yeah, he went for the fast Widowmine after the Reaper.
That's right. So he didn't go. Well, he didn't really open up the traditional 3 command centers, and we already see the second gas coming down. So, with the looks of it, we are just going to see Hellbats once again here from the STC, choosing that as his premium build, his go-to build, go-to strategy to try to bring down Zerg players.
I can't say that it's a bad type of build to go for, because if those Hellbats do get in and get on top of those drones, you're going to end the game almost instantly if you do enough economic damage. It's such a good strategy to go for just because of the burst potential of the Hellbats. And in such an important series, taking risks like throwing those Hellbats in there, delaying your upgrades, it can pay off pretty big dividends, especially if he gets his follow-up as tight as he did in the last map.
All right, so just looking at these 2 players' builds, we should be seeing the Starport and Armory start very shortly as the 200 gas mark is reached for the STCs. Mining from 3 workers from each geyser inside his main base, so there's the Armory, and shortly should follow the Starport. So we know what he's going to do. We already kind of knew that from the second gas coming down. The Stephano, on the other hand, with the 3rd command center coming down, he's up to 4 queens, exactly the same as previous. So it doesn't look like he's going to go all in because it's way too late now. The Roach Warren should have been down, yada, yada, yada. We should be seeing double evolution chamber come down. I'm so intrigued to know Roach upgrades or Zergling upgrades. Just depending on that upgrade will tell us exactly what Stephano's plan is for the rest of this game.
And I think that's the question. That's $1 million question, really, because if you go for any kind of Hellbat-based strategy, the Roaches are able to deal with it a little bit better than the Zerglings. And then if you continue to produce them in the early phases, the Hydras trade very well as the Roaches in head-to-head fights. So with more Zerglings coming out for Stephano, though, it looks like he could be anticipating a bit of that potential pressure that's coming in. The Hellbats are on the way. We have the Medevac coming in. Hellian's going to do a little bit of scouting out, and we do have that Baneling nest actually starting up for Stephano. Perhaps he had some aggression planned.
All right, this is very... What we're probably going to see here is defense and aggression at the same time. There's 2 things that we could see. He uses Banelings to help against Hellbats, but why would he do that if he didn't do it previously? If that's his way to deal with Hellbats, he should have built the Baneling nest in game number 2. So this leads me to believe he's going to play defensive and aggressive. He's going to build Lings to deal with drops and deal with Hellions, but at the same time, he's going to sneak out a bunch of Zerglings. He has to choose the right pathway, and then he's probably going to morph Banelings on the other side of the map and aim for the natural mineral line of his opponent. These are the Zerglings that have been chosen, every single one of those. He goes on the right-hand side here, needs to avoid all information. He's got all enemy units, I was trying to say. But here comes the drop. Now Stephano needs to defend and hold on with queens and needs to get Zerglings out of his zone. 28 more on the way. This is going to be cutthroat here for Stephano. Moves his drones out the way. These Lings are going to pop and immediately come for this. I'm sure STC must be asking, he must be saying, Why do you not have Zerglings out yet? Are you seriously that greedy?
And you know, Stephano does manage to deal with the Hellions as well, so STC ran those in, so he doesn't actually have too much outside of this, and the Zerglings are here, and here comes the Banelings.
Here comes the morph.
16 of them. This is going to be very difficult to hold. He will be able to smash straight through that bunker and those supply depots.
He's got no idea. He sees the Zerglings coming across the map by a Medivac. Is he going to click? Is he going to build additional bunkers? And now a couple of Zerglings test the water, but here comes the Banelings. The bunkers are too late. They're coming down too late. Stephano may just crash through.
And the Banelings are going to smash into that wall. The couple Hellbats that are here, are they going to be enough? The Banelings do that extra damage to them at the same time. The Hellbat up in the main base, but the Banelings getting in the mineral line of the STC, beginning to blow those SCVs apart, trying to retreat with the Hellbats into the main base, pulling away his drones from his own main as well. And well, we're seeing more Zerglings on the production tab. These SCVs are not going to be able to make it out. There's only a few of them barely squeezing by the Hellbats. And he's also going to be able to get that third command center that's on the low ground, potentially forcing it canceled there. So even further delaying the potential economy of the STC. This attack by Stephano's done a lot of damage, and he's managed to keep himself somewhat reasonably well protected from those Hellbats, but the SCV count's still very close to the number of drones on this map.
Absolutely cutthroat game. Currently, Stephano has an army advantage and he has an upgrade advantage. Both of them have destroyed their economy. They're down to 30 drones to 34 SCVs. This is a cutthroat, low economy game. Stephano's coming in with another blow to the natural, though. There's a couple of units here to defend. The Hellbat is very crucial in defending this. Every SCV that goes down helps out Stephano to be able to win this game. Another Hellbat goes down, another SCV. One Marine stands strong with a couple of SCVs. Eventually, these links may get cleaned up, but oh boy, did he knock down the STC. An extra 10 SCV kills there.
Yeah, and those mules as well. That's a lot of potential economy that's lost. He's going to try to drop the Hellbats in that cute spot by the mineral line, but it's not going to be enough. He's going to lose those and the medevac, and that's really just stifling that aggressive potential, because at this point, he would do anything to get Stephano off of his back with all that Zerglings. He still has 12 more on the way. He doesn't even have a wall covering his main base from his natural anymore. And that third command center that was killed off, it's just now about to finish inside that main. More Banelings on the way outside the natural. He's just going to run in. That bunker's not done yet.
No Hellbats.
The Marines are going to stim. He's going to be able to chase them down. And you know what? He's not really scared. He doesn't really care about this many Marines. He's going to get on top of those SCVs again, and even more of them are going to die.
Stephano is at 50 drones compared to 25 SCVs. He's now bringing down the bunker, bringing down supply depots. Behind this has 1-1, has the layer. He's already got the Baneling nest. He's going to go over to Spire Play. He's got a great setup. He's taking his gases on his natural or his main. I'm not sure where it is. And in his main, he's going to throw down the Spire very shortly. He's got 26 additional Zerglings. He's at a good drone count. And currently, Stephano is beating out the STC. The STC needs to gather focus, needs to get these medevacs out, needs to stay calm. Complete that wall off, for God's sake. Put something there. An armory, damn it, that's good enough. Put something there, because these Zerglings are slowing him down every time. And we do have a couple of Banelings. This shouldn't do too much here. There are quite a few Hellbats. Quite a few Zerglings to power this. Oh my God, there's a bunch more Banelings.
He's going to Hellbat drop those Banelings, just trying to at least soften them up or get rid of them. But that wall, he's going to throw in a supply depot at the last second. The Banelings are going to crash through the bunker, though. The Zerglings are coming in. Will Stephano get the surround?
Oh,
not
great
just
micro.
Yet. Good solid medevac micro with those Hellbats dropping them right behind the Zerglings, also messing with the AI at the same time. The Spire, however, is coming in for Stephano. The Zerglings actually do get a surround on some of these Hellbats. He's going to get back into the natural expansion.
The SCC's like, I'm going to come get you now. Oh wait, Zerglings again. So all of a sudden, Stephano's back on the natural, keeping his opponent down at 30 SCVs. And even though the Hellbats come to help out, and he can easily pick that up and micro it if he wants, he will clean this up. But still, Stephano, 62 drones to 31. He can start 2-2 now for his Zerglings. It depends on what he wants to do. Does he start 2-2, or does he like save his gas for Mutilus maybe? Okay, so he's going to get 2-2 and then just get Mutilus straight away here. The problem is, when Mutilus come out, the Marine count is low. They don't have 2-2. I don't even think they have combat shields. They may have stim. They don't have combat shields. There is no turrets. He can't afford turrets. The STC is really struggling in this game, and Stephano is just bringing the heat.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point that you mentioned about getting the 2-2 upgrades. You know, he's ahead. He wants to keep his lead, especially considering that the SCC is going to go for upgrades. That's no longer going to be an option for him to try to come back with. The Hellbats are going to drop in that third base, trying to drop towards the natural as well, but the Zerglings immediately picking those off. At the very least, he might grab this queen, but he's still going to lose that medevac, it looks like, and the Hellbat is still roaming around the natural. The medevac does die, but those Hellbats get into the third. SC's going to kill a couple of units off here, but Stephano's not afraid to trade Zerglings at this point, as long as he doesn't lose all of his drones.
Well, Hellbats are attacking spine crawlers, as a Terran player, that's the last thing you want at this moment. You've got to be roasting drones because it's 61 drones to 39 SCVs. Combat shield still has not been researched. That's going to hinder the STC's army. It's just not going to be as strong without those extra 10 hit points on the Marines, each Marine. So that's going to be quite bad for any engagements. It does finally start, but Mutalists are on the way. Are there turrets? I don't think so. There's a few Marines, there's a couple of medevacs spread around, no turrets. The STC is going to use Marines in his main base, a couple in his natural too. Meanwhile, Stephano can absolutely take a fourth base, start powering away. The STC needs to make a miracle comeback. Remember, it's a best of 3. Current players, they're at 1-1. The winner of this opens up their group with the first victory in a group that is so difficult. Hyun, Slivko, they are good Zerg players.
Yeah, it's a very great point. And the other thing to consider here, though, is that we're at the 16-minute mark, and that third base has not yet been able to be moved out or landed. And now that the Mutalist count is starting to buff up, transferring those units over with a number of Zerglings and Banelings that Stephano can produce with the lead that he has, landing that third is going to be mission impossible, because if he can't get that together, the main base is running low on minerals. The natural expansion, the only reason there's barely anything left there is because all the SCVs have died 5 times. And now that that command center is moving out, this is going to become, this is the #1 goal. STC must get this third base up if he wants to have any chance of coming back in this game.
You are absolutely correct. This third base needs to land there. It shouldn't go down here. It may take a bit of damage. Oh my god, Zerglings! Zerglings are going to cut off the Marines potentially here. If you morse a couple of Banelings, that would be ideal, and he could bring down this command center. Oh, there's Banelings coming too. This could be big for Stephano.
Yeah, and the 2-2 actually finishing up for Stephano first. It's finishing up for STC at the same time. Decent split on those Marines.
Does he save the command center?
The command center is going to go down. He's going to lose that third. And no. All of the Mutalists are going to be able to get out as well, and this is a really, really bad situation to be in for the SEC. That fourth base is going up. He could put on a bit of a Marine attack, try to take this down, since there's nothing active on the field for Stephano right now, but he's starting that +2 attack. Centrifugal hooks is going to be done soon. He's stepping onto the creep, and this is where it's a bit dangerous for the Terran player.
Yeah.
He wants to go for drones. He doesn't want to just take out that base. He wants to try to put on a lot of damage.
This may be the SEC's only chance in this game, right now, right here. He needs to go for it. He doesn't have a third command center anymore. Stephano's got 5 bases spread across. A good Widowmine hit there, or no, okay, maybe not, sorry. But we're about to have Zerglings come in. Baneling speed is about to come crushing in as well. The SEC, can he do it? Can he do it?
He's going to start putting those Marines on the creep, but the Zerglings move out quite quickly. No centrifugal hooks makes it a bit easier for the Marines, but there's just so many Mutalists. I'm not sure he's going to be able to overpower these. More Marine reinforcements do sprint in, and he's going to be able to stave him off for now, but he's still below 100 supply, and he's having a really hard time getting over that hump into the triple digits for his supply.
That's right, 40 supply difference between these two players, and 30 of that is actually in workers. So Stephano is kind of toe-to-toe in terms of army supply, and oh, these units caught in the middle. A lot of Zerglings come in. The SEC's medevacs go down. There is nothing here. This could be his last stance. The mines go down as well because the oversteer stays present.
And Stephano wants to sweep through and take this first match in this group. STC trying to rebuild that third command center on location. A couple Zerglings can shut that down so easily. One Marine left at the watchtower to die horrible, painful death. And Stephano looking so strong at 155 supply at +2 flyer attack, a bit past 60% done. And right now, he's just balling up his forces. He's getting ready to go for the next assault. More Banelings are on the way.
That's right. All Stephano really needs to do now is just morph a ton of Banelings and go for the kill. And he will be able to achieve that. He's going to catch a couple of units in the middle of the map again. There is a Widowmine down there. A couple of Widowmines actually. How well are they going to detonate? If detonate at all, they actually hit a bunch of Zerglings on the left-hand side. But Stephano still overpowering everything the STC has. And he is down. The third command center isn't even building up there either. It's been prevented. It's probably going to be cancelled. Stephano is just rolling over the SEC. He's trying everything in his power to come back, but he's now 70 supply to 163.
This is looking very, very dire here for the STC. He does save the third command center from the Zerglings, but now the Mutas are here. There's barely any hit points for this to be. You can't repair a building that's not done. He kills off that third command center with that. GG, Stephano secures the first win in his group, 2-1 over the STC.
And it feels like that game was a semi-final or a final, but that is just game 1 of the group stage 3. That's how intense it is here. And Stephano picks up a very important win to keep his tournament hopes alive. That group, I predicted before, I know it's going to be difficult for Stephano. Likewise difficult for the STC. But Stephano now picks up the game versus Terran. He must play against the 2 other Zergs in his group. The STC likewise needs to do the same. The STC, though, is in a must-win situation. The next game he plays, if he loses, he's probably out. The STC is put in a difficult position, but Stephano gets a help.